All right, we need to talk to Luke in Canada because
we do.
Luke.
Hello.
Hello. We are doing good. I'm excited
it's
to
been a
talk
while.
with you. Yeah.
We talked once about the Kalam arguments together.
Oh.
And today I called back because I had nothing else to do. So.
Well, we're happy to be a last resort.
To your show.
Yeah. What's your question today?
Yeah, the question was about your greatest arguments against the existence of God. What could you tell us? Oh, by the way, I'm a Catholic. I'm a Christian.
Okay.
So I'm a theist. So I was wondering, what is your greatest arguments against the existence of God, particularly the Catholic one?
Cool. Ooh. Greatest argument against the existence of God. I don't have one.
I got a couple. That could be fun. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm going to give this to Eric because I don't have one.
Okay. So,
cool.
So Luke, if you can imagine just any possible universe where, any combination of things could be in it, could there exist a universe where there is no God? Could there be a naturalistic universe just in any possible universe?
Yes.
Yes?
No, I understand what you're asking, but such a universe without a God will have some kind of creator that I would name God. So.
Well, let's say there's a cosmic fluctuation. I'm just pulling words out of my butt here. So those those people whose this is their profession, please forgive me. But I'm just going to say cosmic fluctuation because I'm ignorant. So let's say due to some cosmic fluctuation, a universe comes into existence. Would that be the creator then for that? Is that what you mean?
This fluctuation, does it have a will?
Well, if it's just a happenstance, then no. That would be just like asking a rock that rolled down a hill whether or not it had a will.
Okay, so no, it wouldn't be God. The will is needed for God to be.
Okay, so I kind of want to get back to the question: is there any possible universe? Could there be a possible universe without a God in it?
No, in the sense that you would need someone or something with a will to create this universe that you are in. It might not be a god. It might be an alien that creates your universe and living in another universe kind of thing. But you would still need a creator first, guy who created this alien kind of thing.
So I was going to go in one direction and give you an ontological argument against the existence of God, but you gave more information. And I think that to answer your question that you called in about, the most potent argument against the existence of God is the one that works with the person that you're talking to. So listening and engaging where that person is going to give you your strongest argument. Luke, you said that there needs to be will for a universe to become instantiated. I don't know how to describe that.
What was that word?
Instantiation of the universe. Right? So the beginning of a universe.
You need will.
Okay. How did you come to that conclusion? Because we've only really had one universe that we've been able to inspect, which is ours. And I don't know how you could possibly come to the conclusion that will was necessary for it. And so how you're extrapolating that to all possible universes needing will is really confusing to me.
I have yet to discover that the universe has will. The universe itself has a will. I have yet to discover that. If I were to discover that universe has a will, then my statement that a will is needed to start the universe is false. But if the universe doesn't have a will, it still needs something that has will to start it. Like my coffee cup, for example, doesn't have a will. If I want my coffee cup to move, it will need a will somewhere, some place to move the coffee cup.
Okay. But that flies in the face of the world that we live in. There are lots of things, like if a tree falls in the forest, does there need to be will for that tree to have fallen? When grass grows, does there need to be will for the grass to grow? When natural things interact in the world around us, most of the time it's not will. It's like if you were to stand there at the beach and point at every grain of sand and say that it was will that was necessary for rocks to be, ground down into sand. Like, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, the sand or the wind or the natural things that you talk about, the chemical reactions, are the result of the will of God, in my worldview.
Okay,
it is the one who willed that gravity is 9.8 meters per second. That's his rules that he wrote down and then applied to what is the physical world. Like, you apply your will to the coffee cup, God applied his will to what we call gravity.
So let's take gravity in the cosmological constants and put them on a shelf and call back, because that is a topic that I've been wanting to have for 5 years, Luke. For 5 years. I've done this. Luke, I've done this for 5 years, and I've been waiting for somebody to bring up the cosmological constants as proof of the existence of their God for exactly that. Please call back, because it's going to get us off on a rabbit trail. I'm not going to go into that. Luke, do me this favor, call back. But where I'm going to go with that is, it sounds like we're getting into a Watchmaker argument, the argument from design.
Yeah.
So do you know what something looks like if it's not created? Because it sounds like you're standing on a beach that's made of watches, trying to identify whether or not a watch was created. If everything was created, then how can you tell whether something wasn't created?
Yeah, there are things that are created by humans and things that are not created by humans, that are created by God. So I know the difference between those two.
So everything is created, though.
Like you said, it's a rabbit hole. I understand that you don't have such a long time in front of you. That's why I called back with the same thing. And I understand that for
Luke,
you... Yeah?
We have 10 Why did you call so late? What is wrong with you? We have 10 minutes. Did you do this on purpose? You did this on purpose. Do you just not have... do we need to start the show later? Is that what's going on?
It wouldn't work. But if you want to, I will be able to talk with you on the Discord server after.
No, we want this on the show. I want people to hear it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't. I couldn't before. I was eating and I wasn't able to talk with you guys. I was listening to you. It was interesting to listen to you.
Oh my gosh, Luke, you're killing Eric over here.
I can hear that.
Oh my goodness. No, seriously. This is, I love the way the question was framed. What is your strongest argument against God? And I really, really, really want to get deeper into this, but we do not have too much time. So
I know.
Eric, I know that it feels like you guys were kind of moving towards a point and then we got off topic. I want to make sure that gets through before we move on. Is there anything else that either of you want to bring up there?
Well, Luke, I'm going to give you the last word, okay? So I'll go and then I'll give you the last chance to respond. I feel like that's the most fair I could be. The place that I would want to go and the place that I would put anybody in, who gives that argument to me is I would say, it sounds like you've defined yourself into a corner where there's no way out. Because if everything that's not created by man is created by God, then if you're using that to point back to that, evidence of a God, by saying, it's basically just a more complicated version of look at the trees. And number one, it's not falsifiable. Number two, it's not convincing. It shouldn't be convincing for you. And, what I would push back on is I would want you to show me how I can test that claim. Or if you're just, giving us something that is impossible to work with. And then why is it convincing to you, right? There are so many places to go with that. But I know you don't have the time to respond to them all. We don't have the time to air it, but I want to give you the chance to respond before we move forward.
Yeah. The main thing is usually when I speak with atheists, I'm talking about the arguments I have for God instead of the arguments they have against God. because usually what happens is what happened during our conversation. They ask me, what is your greatest argument against for the existence of God? And they push back on this argument. And I still have trouble having this kind of answer. In your view, what convinced you that there wasn't any God involved in your life?
Are you saying that you need to listen to the other person to have an effective conversation?
What about it? Yeah, that's crazy, right?
There's no silver bullet? Oh my goodness. We don't agree with each other, Luke, but we agree on that.
All right. Thank you very much for the conversation. I hope we'll get to talk together another time.
I do
agree.
too. Take
Thank
care.
you so much, Luke.
Bye-bye.
I wasn't being sarcastic at Luke, by the way, just at I mean, we were talking about it, right? We had a call earlier about people creating strawmen and attacking these strawmen. And it's like, yeah, if you think that you have this one shot that's going to convince everyone that a God does or doesn't exist, then you have not listened to the person that you're engaging with, because it takes that listening to understand what their definition of a God is or how they came to the conclusions they came to.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to have to do some more thinking, because I don't have a question, an argument against God. I don't have one that I keep in my back pocket. I don't have one that puts me, at ease at night that I repeat to myself, there's no God, there's no God, there's no God. But what convinced me was a lack of good arguments on the other side when I looked into it. So there is that, and I don't want that to, I know that feels like a cop-out to a lot of people, because, well, there must have been something that clinched it. And the people who leave kind of get that there very rarely is a thing.
No, it's a death by 1,000 cuts usually.
So I don't have one, but I'm willing to find one. If we want to have that conversation and we have the intent to shift that burden of proof and put the atheist stance on the spot, I think it's strong enough to hold up to it. But it would be dishonest for me to say that that's my, inherent thought process, right? I could do that for fun, but personally, I'm not going to say that I have an argument against God.
No, it always has to begin with a question, right? Do you believe that God is omnipotent?
Right.
Cool. Can God create a boulder so big he can't lift it? You don't think God is omnipotent? Then that's not going to work, is it? Find other things.